This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No.
This is a sham.
It's finally here. Drum roll.
Welcome to DBL. I'm Lindsay in for Jeff. What's going on, guys?
Hello.
We got Steph here. I'm
Hey.
excited about that. Okay, so there are so many headlines today, all about the final 3 episodes of the Harry and Meghan docuseries on Netflix. We're finally hearing that Harry is talking about what he says his family did that led to their exit. So here's some of that. Take a look.
It was terrifying to have my brother scream and shout at me, and my father say things that just simply weren't true, and my grandmother, quietly sit there and sort of take it all in. The saddest part of it was this wedge created between myself and my brother, so that he's now on the institution side.
Harry also spoke about William breaking a pact that they made not to let their offices trade negative press stories about one another. We also saw this moment when Harry received a text from his brother that he shows to Meghan following their explosive Oprah interview, although we never learned what that text said.
Nor did we ever see it.
Okay, Steph. Other major revelations. It was Harry's decision to leave, not Meghan's, and the rift really began when the press focused the attention on Meghan, upstaging the other royals. So I'm going to start with Steph. She has a ton to say, obviously. What do you think about these details? Was this the bombshell you were looking for? I know the first 3 bored you. These 3, how did they do?
And the rest of not only the United States but the world too, with a rating of less than 12% on Rotten Tomatoes from the average viewer and less than 45% from critics who described it as a bland, unquestionable self-promotion monathon, to be honest, which you could actually go on Rotten Tomatoes and see for yourself, along with the many thousands of comments, which I found absolutely riveting.
You would say some of those are hate watchers, though, right?
Some are hate watchers.
Right. Okay,
Let's be real, they are. I mean, okay, I'm torn. I'll be honest, I'm torn. Why am I torn? As a British person, I'm furious with Harry and how he's. I mean, this comment. I was so scared. My brother shouted at me. He sounds pathetic. It sounds wet. It sounds ridiculous. Like, come on, you're a fully grown man. Every single one of us has fights with our families at home. Come on now, please. What I don't like is, I've said this time and time again, the racism quotes which have been proven accurate from the British press, not acceptable. There is no place in modern society for this whatsoever. They need to be held accountable. That's what I want to see. I want to see as well. They've blacklisted the entire royal family for the racist comments that were apparently made, but yet they're yet to tell us who made those comments. We need to know so it can be addressed, so those people can be dealt with. We have to know.
So you wanted them to actually show the receipts, show that text message from his brother,
we saw all the receipts of, oh my gosh, we saw all the receipts of their text messages to one another, private moments when they first met, all of that, which apparently they were met on a blind date, but then now magically they met on Instagram, and apparently they were married 3 days before in private in their garden, which technically is completely illegal, and the Archbishop of Canterbury that they said did that had said it was not true, and he would actually be incarcerated if it was. I mean, also, let's not forget the 6 false clips that were put in, which Netflix are now being investigated for, of paparazzi from the Harry Potter premiere, from the glamour model Katie Price coming out of court, and they said that was the paparazzi stalking and harassing them, and it wasn't. The only clip that was actually them being chased was them in the car looking very frightened. I'm sure they've got PTSD from all the moments, but there was no one even there. I'm sorry, like, there's some things that are really conflicting for me. There's more. It's so multifaceted. The racism, I can't get by. The how Meghan has been treated, I can't get by. I do think she's outshone a lot of the members of the royal family, and I do think that's caused upset because it's ruffled their feathers, and I don't agree with that.
I guess my question to you would be, because I feel like we're amongst the trees, but in terms of if we pull back and look at the forest, it seems like you don't.
That was a good one again.
beautiful.
You've been having these one-liners out week after week, really blowing us away.
Since the 1400s. It seems like there's parts that you're picking apart which seem valid, but
if you're going to completely disrespect your nation, your history, who you are, and your family, I think of course people are going to pick that apart.
The major claims of racism, which I think is, like you said, in black and white,
it's proof,
and the harassment,
it's proof.
It seems like those are the 2 major components. So
very much so.
I just wonder if our energy wouldn't be better directed at maybe how we could corral and curtail this, because I feel like you mentioned the PTSD. What I took from this was a young boy who's probably still emotionally that age when it comes to his mom being murdered. He probably has not grown a day since that. seeing his brother, as they went through that together, now almost do a Star Wars where now he's on the dark side. He's leaking stories to the same press that basically, hands off, killed his mom, in his opinion. So I feel like that's where the rift was. The idea of, Netflix clips and, staged Instagram meetups, maybe. That's nothing. But I feel like when I looked at this story, that's what I saw. I just saw somebody that was hurt because I was almost that I thought we were brothers.
And there's so many layers to this, it gets deeper. So I want to go into this and then get Tori's perspective.
Yeah.
There were some other intense moments in the docuseries, including the impact of all the struggles that Meghan's mental health had and physical health. So there are some of what Meghan, her mom, Doria, Raglan, and Harry had to say about it. Take a look.
All of this will stop if I'm not here.
I remember her telling me that she had wanted to take her own life. That's not an easy one for a mom to hear.
I didn't deal with it particularly well. I dealt with it as institutional Harry as opposed to husband Harry. And looking back on it now, I hate myself for it.
In another portion, Harry reveals that his belief that Meghan suffered a miscarriage, he believes that Meghan suffered a miscarriage due to the tabloid coverage, specifically their lawsuit against the Daily Mail, which they ended up winning. So here's what Meghan had to say about all the negative tabloid coverage and its impact on her.
You are making people want to kill me. It's not just a tabloid. It's not just some story. You are making me scared. Right? And that night, to be up and down in the middle of the night, looking down my hallway, are we safe? Are the doors locked? Is security on? Is everything? That's real. Are my babies safe? And you've created it for what? Because you're bored or because it sells your papers?
And that really took it to a different level for me, knowing how many women suffer miscarriages specifically due to stress. Tori, what did you think when you saw this portion of it? I know we made light of maybe the brother and arguing with your sibling. We all do that.
Right.
But what about this portion?
There's so many layers here about mourning and how much emotion you can feel. So the British don't show a lot of emotion and Americans do, and how that relates, and how Harry was struggling between being a Brit in a royal and trying to be a husband to an American wife, going through that. I also think the idea of the brothers, one being the heir that needed to be for the kingdom, and Harry's known as the spare. I mean, that's his biography is known as, it's spare is the title. So it's a completely different way of, two different paths that they took. Right. But all I saw in that was someone really hurting, and a husband who was really hurting. I didn't see any prince, princess, duchess. That was just pain.
See, I saw fear. And I mean, when you talk about the rhetoric and how scared she was, let's look at our country. I mean, we just saw Paul Pelosi be attacked in his own home with a guy that had a hammer.
Sure.
When people, Sandy Hook parents have been harassed for a decade over their child being murdered. Whenever your name is in the press for any reason, you're about to get some death threats. And when it comes to something like this, where people are very polarized, it's going to be times 10. And when you're getting these kinds of headlines every day, that's the kind of thing that, remember that crazy guy that was driving around in his van that had all the Trump stickers that was trying to do, it's all you need is one kind of crazy person.
Right.
And I find it hard to believe that these newspapers do not know that. I find that very hard to believe.
This is why I'm saying they need to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
And that is the realest I have seen Meghan. I'm serious. You can tell that is real, that is pain, that is suffering, and someone needs to be held accountable for that. There's no excuse. I make light of Harry and everything, but this is serious.
Okay, guys, coming up on DBL, our interview with award-winning singer Jewel, how she balances career and motherhood. And more tributes are pouring in for Twitch. We're sharing some of those from the people who knew him best.
On December 13th, President Joe Biden signed the Respect for Marriage Act into law. It requires federal and state governments to recognize all marriages that were legally performed in any state. Some people, including those affiliated with churches, claimed because the law applied to government agencies that it would give the Internal Revenue Service the power to revoke the tax-exempt status of churches that refused to perform same-sex marriages. And a verified viewer on TikTok asked us what the law actually does. So, let's verify. Does the Respect for Marriage Act give the IRS the ability to revoke the tax-exempt status for churches that oppose same-sex marriage? Our sources are the Respect for Marriage Act, A joint statement issued by some of the senators who passed it, the IRS, and Dale Carpenter, a constitutional law expert with Southern Methodist University. The RFMA explicitly says the law can't be used to deny or alter the tax-exempt status or tax treatment of an eligible person or entity. That language was added by a bipartisan group of senators who wanted to ensure that a church's tax-exempt status is unrelated to marriage. The law also specifies it only applies to those acting under the color of state law, which Carpenter says is a legal expression referring to the government or government officials, not private organizations like churches. So, no, the Respect for Marriage Act does not give the IRS the ability to revoke the tax-exempt status for churches that oppose same-sex marriage. With Your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Welcome back to DBL. We're learning more details surrounding the sudden death of Stephen Twitch Boss. The Los Angeles medical examiner confirmed he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. TMZ is reporting that he left his house on Monday morning and checked into a nearby hotel. His wife Allison reported him missing to police on Tuesday and said he wasn't returning any of her calls. She also said there was no argument or issue when he left the house. But shortly after she contacted the police, a 911 call came in from the hotel, and tributes are pouring in from stars that were close to the DJ and dancer. Like Jennifer Lopez, somebody that he actively admired. She said she worked with him and was on the show World of Dance, and she tweeted, quote, "Twitch was such a light and a beautiful soul. Shocked and deeply saddened. My heart breaks for Twitch, his wife, and children." And Alicia Keys posted a video of Twitch and Allison dancing to her song and called him a bright soul. I think the biggest thing is that somebody who's this bright, and that video I think was 4 or 5 days ago, somebody who's this bright, how can they be suffering this much trauma and this sad? And sometimes we look at Instagram or social media and don't conflate the two things, that people can easily be sad and easily post a picture that looks otherwise. Yeah. And so I think this is one of those moments where we keep saying check on everybody, but also when people share their experiences of being sad, maybe take it seriously and don't just, you know, move on with your day until it comes to something like this.
Yeah.
I think he's just also like, I don't know, I'm someone that is really up and bubbly, and so I've also been really depressed, and I can fake it extremely well. And I think that's part of this, that like he was a performer and could exude the joy that we all needed, but what did he need, right? Like what was he having to go through? And it's easier sometimes to put up the front than to say I need help, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's more efficient. I don't have the energy to be like,
not even realize that you need help.
Right.
You know,
so,
like I'm just in a hole right now.
Yeah,
like,
I can get out.
Steph, I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like that him checking into that hotel was such a deliberate act.
Absolutely.
And it's
to
terrifying
private space,
because,
yeah.
You know, you don't know
because then no one can stop him. He's alone, right? He can do what he feels he needs to do, which is so sad, because obviously in his mind, he thought the world's going to be a better place without me, or I can't bear to be in it anymore. Whereas the fact of the matter is it's the polar opposite, and everyone's going to be grieving him and missing him and just wishing he'd have reached out. And like, I'm sure many, many people would have been there for him at any time, day or night. But sadly, if you're in that feeling, a moment, he obviously didn't feel like that.
There was no other way out for him.
There's no other way out. It's so sad.
Yeah. It's so sad. I think our hearts and prayers are out to the whole family. It's just a really tough situation. If you know anyone who might be struggling, we have some numbers on the screen for some services and hotlines dealing with mental health. We'll be right back.
It's this social media post that's warning pet owners about the dangers of snow globes. This post claims that some snow globes are actually filled with antifreeze. If the snow globe breaks and your dog or cat licks up the spill, it can be deadly. So the question, can snow globes poison your pet? Let's verify. Our source is Dr. Fred Winninger, animal neurologist for Care in Charlotte, the Northern New England Poison Center, and the ASPCA. First, let's take a look at what's actually in a snow globe. According to the Northern New England Poison Center, many snow globes contain ethylene glycol, the same chemical used in antifreeze. This is to prevent the liquid inside from freezing during shipping. Poison Control says even a small amount can be deadly. The chemical affects your blood chemistry, nervous system, and kidneys. For pets, it's even more alluring and dangerous. Dr. Fred Winninger says if a snow globe falls and breaks, mop it up immediately because antifreeze is a kidney toxin for your pets. The ASPCA says antifreeze has a sweet smell, so it's tempting for animals to lap up the liquid. So we can verify that yes, snow globes can be poisonous for your pets because many contain antifreeze. If a child swallows antifreeze, make sure to call Poison Control right away. And if a pet gets into it, you can call the Animal Poison Control Helpline. We will have both those numbers linked to this web story at WCNC.com. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
She's an award-winning, that was very strange, she's an award-winning multi-platinum recording artist who released one of the best-selling debuts of all time. Earlier, we had the honor to speak with Jewel about her newest project, the #NotAlone Challenge. Take a look.
I still see it shining face. There are no more sad songs, just blue skies, and no more tears to cry.
Please welcome Jewel. Yeah!
Wow. Jewel, so good to talk to you today. Big fan, I think we all are. But Freewheelin' Woman is your first studio album in 7 years. How did you lay the groundwork for this, first of all? And are you most proud of one track over another? I'm nervous.
You know, the one you played, oh, it's so sweet. It's so nice to be with you guys. I took 7 years off. I'm a single mom, and I really wanted to focus on my son. That was actually a promise I made myself when I was 18, when I got discovered. I knew with my emotional background that, God forbid, someone like me become famous. That means, you know, it's like every movie you've seen about every celebrity. They end up in drug use and with psychotic breakdowns, and I didn't want that to happen. So I've always taken really big breaks in my career to make sure that my life is my best work of art, not just that my art is my art. But I love this album. It's the first album I've written from scratch, and the song you guys played a clip of is the first one I wrote, and I think it is my favorite.
Oh my gosh, I don't blame you. It was delicious.
Beautiful. You brought up being a mom, and I think some people are not talking enough about is being a mom with a career, specifically a career in the music industry. Can you share your experience with our audience?
Yeah, I called this album Freewheelin' Woman because I wanted it to represent who I am now. I'm a 48-year-old woman, and I'm actually at the height of my singing power. I believe I'm writing better than I've ever written. And for me as a young woman in this industry, I didn't see women enter motherhood and become mothers and talk about being mothers and watch us age and talk about the entire thing. And I actually mentor several musicians now, young mothers who are trying to figure out how to tour with babies. How do you have your child in school and be a musician? It's obviously a niche market, but it's just particular challenges I think we face as mothers. And most importantly, I wanted people to see I feel empowered. I'm proud of where I am. I fought hard to be where I am as a woman. I get to dictate where my life goes. I'm not beholden to anyone. And I did it as a writer. And so that's why I wanted this album to be written from scratch, to have that feeling.
I love that. Jewel, we're so happy to see your passion for raising mental health awareness. Can you tell us how your own journey paved the way for you to help others?
Yeah, I moved out when I was 15, and I knew statistically kids like me end up repeating the cycle. And I didn't want to be a statistic. I wanted to believe that happiness was for people like me too. But I didn't have money for traditional support systems like therapy. So I started to develop tools that started to help me create new habits. And when I got discovered, one of the first things I did was help form the Inspiring Children Foundation, where we take these behavioral tools that I developed. We worked with neuroscientists to show why they work, how they rewire the brain. And now we're one of the top in the country at helping kids with suicidal and anxiety. And again, it's without therapy. Not that I'm against therapy, not everybody has access. So I've been trying to find ways that could supplement therapy or even work with it. And in doing this, we realized 50% of the nation lives in what I call a mental health desert. They don't actually even have access to any mental health tools, any mental health resources. So that's why we started the #NotAloneChallenge. Challenge.
So speaking of those tools, Jewel, by the way, you are a Jewel. It's lovely hearing from you. Where can our viewers find mental health tools to feel less alone, especially during the holidays, which, to be honest, are really, really hard for a lot of people?
Yeah, we started the #NotAloneChallenge so that we could save lives over the holidays, reminding people they're not alone, but more importantly, not just reminding them they're not alone, but offering free mental health tools. For people to find those tools, they can go to notalonechallenge.org. We're also auctioning off amazing items from actors, CEOs, musicians, athletes, and people can go on there and bid on those auctions, and all the money raises to go toward creating scalable digital mental health tools so that these people in these mental health deserts can finally get help.
Jewel, thank you so much. To our viewers, you can find more information on the Not Alone Challenge in Jewel's Instagram bio @Jewel, and use the #NotAloneChallenge to share your own mental health struggles and successes. And of course, you can listen to Freewheelin' Woman out now. Thank you so much, Jewel. We'll be right back.
The holiday season is upon us as the spread of COVID, the flu, and RSV threaten our holiday gatherings. So is it too late to get all of your shots before you celebrate with family? Let's verify. Our sources are Dr. Ashley Hennings of the University of Georgia's College of Pharmacy and Dr. Ilan Shapiro, Medical Affairs Officer of Ultimate Health Services. There's protection from COVID-19, and there's the best protection from COVID-19. According to the Centers for Disease Control, you're still considered fully vaccinated even if you haven't received the updated COVID booster. But the best protection, according to the CDC, comes when you get each available shot when you're eligible. Depending on the type of shot you get, it could take a week before you have some protection from COVID, and longer than that before you're fully protected.
Usually for our body, it takes 2 weeks to have that immune system response where they understand how to protect yourself against these variants and against COVID-19.
The updated COVID booster protects against the original version as well as the Omicron variant and its subvariants. Dr. Hanning says it takes the same 2 weeks to get full immunity with the flu vaccine.
There's still time to get it before the holidays and before traveling, if you go ahead and jump on it. There's just a good chance right now that you will encounter one or more of these viruses. So I think it's a good idea to do everything that you can to protect yourself.
So we can verify there is still time before your holiday gatherings to get up to date on COVID and flu shots and have at least partial protection, with full protection coming after about 2 weeks. But medical experts say the clock is ticking, so don't delay.
Unless you happen to have a workshop of elves helping you complete your holiday gift list, you're probably heading online to do at least some of your shopping, and with that, a chance of flurries of texts and emails about your order from shippers, from stores, and from scammers. So how can you tell if one of these messages is legit, and what do you do if it's not? Let's verify. We turn to several sources to learn more about these so-called phishing messages, which the Federal Trade Commission defines as a type of online scam targeting consumers by pretending to be from a well-known source, like a shipping company or retailer, then asking the consumer for personal information.
You see that and you think to yourself, oh my God, I've got to make sure everything's okay with the account.
Even in the frenzy of the season, do not click the link before you stop and think. If you get an alert about a package delivery issue, are you even waiting on a package from that company? Is the message threatening or urgent? Does the link look jumbled and random? Are you asked to enter a password, address, credit card number? Even if a message seems okay, our sources say the best idea is to go straight to the store or shipping company.
Go to the retailer's website, enter your account information, and see what's going on with that package.
If you are caught in a phishing scam, identitytheft.gov is an FTC website that will walk you through next steps. Bottom line, as you make your way through your shopping list, when you get a link, check it twice. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
Welcome back. We've got some amazing products from our friends at Morning Save. Check them out.
What do you have for us today, Steph?
Before we get started into all the fun stuff, I need you guys to know that because of shipping and post, they are not guaranteed to arrive in time for Christmas. Let's get started. First up, we have got the Eufy Home Vac S11 Light Cordless Stick Vacuum Cleaner. And this vacuum is cordless. Ooh. And guess what, Tori? It weighs just 3.5 pounds. Normally, unsurprisingly, it's $199, but we've got it for just $99.99, which is saving up to 50%. And now our next product, Tori, is the Express USA Multifunction 6-in-1 Collapsible Cutting Board. There is a grater, there's a grinder, a strainer, or you can use it as a storage basket.
Wow.
So normally these are $50.
Ooh, I don't like that.
But we've got it for $14.99, so that saves 70%.
Wow.
Now this next one, Tori, is right up our alley. It is the Westinghouse LED Light Therapy Mask.
Oh yeah.
This mask will stimulate collagen production, it reduces signs of aging and balances skin tone.
Nice.
So normally this is $90, ooh, but we've got it for just $29.99, saving up to 67%. Our last product is a lifesaver if you've got stiff and sore muscles. It's the Vibe X Deep Tissue Percussion Massager. So this deal includes one massager with 7 interchangeable heads and a travel case. So normally it's $135, but right now it's just $49.99, which is saving everyone 63%.
That is so smart. I love that price. I love all the prices. Head on over, y'all, to morningsave.com to snag these amazing deals at the lowest prices, or you can just scan that QR code right on screen. It'll take you directly to these products on Morning Save's website. Again, one more reminder that these items are not guaranteed for Christmas arrival. Thank you so much, Steph.
Tori just had full breakfast while we were in that break, but I'm happy that you got a chance to eat your breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Go away. I'm just saying, sometimes you gotta throw down the protein.
What did you have?
A piece of pizza.
Protein.
Too early.
Very healthy.
Very healthy.
DBL's new every day. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place.